Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Dante Fortson here with a special presentation for you guys on this Christmas Day. I don't know how many of you guys have been celebrating Christmas with me all month, giving gifts to the entire urban apologetics community. But if you can hear me, go ahead and please press the one in the chat so I can see those ones pop up before I get started. This right here is Endgame. Urban Apologetics Unwrapped, a Christmas they'll never forget. So if you can see those, if you can hear me, press the ones in the chat. Waiting to see the ones pop up and then we'll get started. All right, I see ones. Perfect. All right, cool. I see a lot of ones. Got 133 people in here. Y'all do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed already, please hit the subscription button. And after you hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell and press all notifications. All right, so let me see. Let me see here. My chat is not updating. Let me make sure. Let me see if I can reload this real quick on my end before we get started. All right, there we go. Cool. Got my chat uploaded or updated and ready to go. All right, so I see a lot of y'all have been celebrating with me. I appreciate everybody that's been sharing, everybody that's been watching. Make sure you guys please keep sharing. And for those who have not signed the petition to have the Urban Apologists labeled as a hate group, I'm going to go ahead and drop this petition in the chat. We've seen why over the last few days we need to have them labeled as a hate group. We've seen their actions. Many of us just saw the Pastor Kelly and Pastor Major's response video to the claims that Abu and Faithful to God made. This is why I said we need to wait and hear from them. And so we heard from them. So now, hey, I'm gonna call them the scumbag crew over there, because that's how they act. We've seen their actions. We've seen what they are when it comes to integrity. We've seen that they are willing to lie and do all sorts of stuff, cuss people out, just fabricate everything. We see that's who they are. So now, the scumbag apologists over there, they've been caught in a lot of lies. And I'm not just talking about the ones that we've already shown, but they've been lying a lot lately for months. They've been using multiple platforms to lie. So today I'm going to address quite a few things. And I just hope the same energy is kept on other platforms towards them as it was towards Israelites when they thought one person did something wrong. I just want that same energy to be kept toward the urban apologetics community. Y'all make sure y'all share this video. Make sure y'all tag a few people in this video if you want. Anybody you want to. So now I'm gonna take my time with this because I want to make sure I do all this right, because there's been a lot of stuff said. We're gonna start off slow. Let me give me a second here. I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. Make sure you sign that petition if you've not signed it already. All right. Let me share my screen. If you guys have not signed up for HebrewSphere.com, please do so if you want to associate and connect with other Israelites. And go to BlackHistoryInTheBible.com if you want to do some research on who we are as a people. All right, give me a second. I'm going to share my screen, but not my audio just yet. We got a lot of stuff to look at today. All right, first up, if you have not bought a copy of Undeniable, make sure you grab your copy. It's definitely good if you want to shut down the conversation, the arguments. People can just look at the actual evidence. Now, we're going to talk about DNA today. Now, I'm no DNA expert, and you guys know I'm no DNA expert. I've said that. I've done 2 DNA journey videos, and that's all I've done so far. I'm still learning. And before we get started, just so I don't forget, I want to give a shout out to Brother Yehukanan. Brother Yehukanan has been... Well, he showed me we had a couple conversations, and he showed me some stuff on GEDmatch that I was somewhat aware of, but I wasn't aware of some of the things he showed me. So yeah. So shout out to Brother Yehukanan for his help in putting this together. Teo Ministry, Sister E, those conversations that I've had. So now all I do, I observe things, and I observe how people move, and I observe what they say. Somebody asked for a count on the petition. Give me a second here. But I observe what they say, and then I start to look at it and say, you know what, that don't add up. And sometimes I don't say anything. I just sit there and observe, and I'll ride with it. And I'll just sit there and listen. And then when it's time to say something, I'll say something. You don't always have to say something immediately. just know that. You don't always have to say something immediately. So anyway, the count on the petition right now, let me hit the refresh button real quick. Since somebody in the chat did ask what the count on the refresh is, 1,659 so far. So if you've not signed the petition yet, please do so. I'm going to shut down a couple of these screens as I go. The first thing I want to address, I'm going to address Faithful to God. Faithful to God lacks integrity. He lacks a lot of things. He lacks truth. He is deceptive. He is underhanded. He's a liar. He's a conniver. He bears false witness. As you guys saw in the video that I dropped late last night, he had to stop himself from bearing false witness at one point. And he verbally expresses that he was stopping himself from bearing false witness. I've heard all kind of hearsay that I'm not going to put out there, but Faithful to God is just a dishonest person. So now this first thing, only reason I'm addressing Faithful to God in this is because Faithful to God is washed up. He is a overrated urban apologist looking for some way to gain some recognition because his channel is just trash. It's boring, which is why it doesn't get a lot of views. And he's never going to get a lot of views ever. It doesn't matter how many subscribers he gets. He can get 50, 60,000 subscribers. He will probably never get 150 people on the live. Because people go to his channel, they see him, and they listen for a minute, and they get bored. Now, let me share my screen again. And this is why I'm going to address this really briefly. So now, let me tell you how dishonest Faithful to God is. Faithful to God makes this video saying Dante Fortson debunked the Jews of Sao Tome and Anglo women. This is Faithful to God's channel. You can see it right here. It's live. It's his 5,029, whatever, 290 subscribers or whatever you got. So now here's the actual truth about Faithful to God, Black History in the Bible, and myself. See, here's why we know Faithful to God doesn't have any integrity. Number one, he blocks the likes and dislikes so you guys can't see the truth and how many people dislike his videos. That tells you a person is dishonest, but they don't want you to see the number of likes and dislikes because the likes and dislikes come down to a community opinion. And we know when somebody is lying, they tend to get a lot of dislikes that they don't want you to see. That's number one. Number two, if Faithful to God had any integrity when he did this Dante Fortson debunked video, he would have told everybody that Dante Fortson started BlackHistoryInTheBible.com in order to debunk the Israelites. However, the amount of evidence collected on the site seems to point to opposite. I've also made it clear that if you find a mistake on the site, I have no problem reviewing it. And then if necessary, removing it, if necessary, updating it. So no, he did not debunk me. There's no huge deal about finding a piece of evidence that may or may not support his position or my position. That's what happens when you're searching for truth. You look at the evidence. Some evidence doesn't pan out and some does. I will address this piece of evidence later in a later video, but I just wanted to address the way that Faithful to God goes about stuff. He goes about stuff with a lack of integrity for a Christian and a researcher. So regardless of how you put it, Faithful to God is not a trustworthy person at all. And I just want to address that. So anyway, I'll address the information. Now, some of you guys know, I mentioned it the other day. I did remove something else, not this particular thing that Faithful to God is talking about, because there are other documents that support the conclusions in here. But I removed something else the other day because the dates weren't quite adding up the way I thought they should. Not to mean that that piece of information was false or wrong. The information just didn't add up the way I thought it should. So anyway, that's the first thing I wanted to address. Faithful to God, who is a washed up, overrated apologist who's doing anything he can just to get a view. Matter of fact, let me share my screen again because I'm going to show you guys this while I'm on the subject of faithful real quick. That video I put out yesterday kind of sums up Faithful to God, but let's go to Faithful to God's channel real quick. Now, you guys heard Faithful to God bragging about how many subscribers he has. 5,000 subscribers. Where's the video of me at? Let me see. It was on right here. 664 views in a month. 457 views in a week. Y'all go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. It's 344 people in here right now. In the chat right now, Faithful to God, if you're listening, which I know you will. Look at this. Just trash. 9 months, get less than 9. He's getting less than 100 views a month. But he was bragging. Y'all heard him bragging about his subscribers. This is why I always taunt Faithful to God about the numbers. Always. So anyway, I'm off of Faithful to God now. He's acquired too much time. This is why you guys haven't heard me address him a lot, because he's overrated and we know he's clout chasing. He's running like a little puppy dog behind Israelites. Everything the Israelites do, he has to mention the Israelite just to get a small number of hits. All right. So now let's move on to the main subject at hand. We're going to talk about GEDmatch and some of the information that these so-called apologists have been putting out. And a lot of it, the majority of it, has been false. It has been deceptive. And I believe they have done it intentionally. I believe they have been intentionally misleading the Christian community. I believe they have been trying to intentionally mislead the Israelite community. They have been misleading, as we've seen, institutions where they try to say that certain professors are associating with hate groups. These people are devils. And when I say devils, I literally mean that in some cases. I got another video coming out later because Christmas ain't over. There's another video coming out later where it talks about some of the spiritual situations going on with the urban apologists. All right. So now let's start with Salam, because a lot of this started off with Salam. Salam Alexandria. Y'all know her as Say Salam in the chat. You often see her in Israelite chats lying on Israelites. You often see her in Bereans chat lying on Israelites. Some of y'all see her in my chat lying on Israelites. And then she has the nerve to say that we are ungodly for talking about DNA, even though she, according to her, has a 77 slide PowerPoint that she's preparing to go on Berean's channel. She has gone on Cherry Love's channel to talk about DNA. And so because the DNA argument isn't working out, now her, Cherry Love, and the others are trying to say we're ungodly for talking about DNA. And yet we see G-Con on Berean's channel talking about DNA. We see G-Con on Cherry's channel. We see G-Con on his channel. We see Kevin G on all the channels. We see Vocab on channels. All of them talking about DNA while claiming Israelites are ungodly for talking about DNA. So the hypocrisy is exposing itself. If DNA is ungodly, don't speak on the DNA, period. But if you're a hypocrite and you say DNA is ungodly, go ahead, keep speaking on it, because we're going to keep calling you out. So let me share my screen again, because I want to make sure. Hold on, let me see if I got the email up, or not the email, the screenshot. I want to show the screenshot of something she just said. Some of y'all saw it. Some of y'all told me you had it, and I'm going to show you guys. All right, so just recently on Berean's channel right here, here's what she said. This is Say Salam. She says Dante's email was fake, and she's referring to the GEDmatch emails. Now, this is clearly a lie, because she doesn't like the fact that the results are coming out the way they are. And this has been the root of the lie, is that they don't like what the results are showing now that we have started talking about DNA. They didn't like the biblical stuff. And so when the biblical stuff, when they started losing that argument and it didn't pan out, they had to try to move the goalpost to history. And so now we've traced the history to hundreds of sources, not just a handful. Because see, they assume we were only using a handful of sources. And now that it's up to hundreds of sources, they tried to switch over to the DNA. Well, now the DNA isn't turning out exactly like they want. But by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall a matter be confirmed. So I showed you the lie that she said that the emails are fake, but this is what they do because they're not trustworthy people. Please hit the thumbs up. Please share this. All right, we're gonna start out with this first video. I'm not gonna play the video mostly because I'm annoyed and bored listening to these people, but I'm gonna give you guys links to the video so you can go watch them yourself. And plus, I don't want to take up a bunch of time listening to these people talk because I'm sick of hearing them talk, quite frankly. But here's the link to this first video I'm about to show. Well, we're about to talk about. That's the link to it. I'm about to show it on screen, but I'm not going to play it. All right. So this is the Cherry Love Show right here. This is the episode on November 9th where Salam comes on and she starts talking about how we use GEDmatch incorrectly. G-Con, I believe, is on this show. Cherry Love is on this show. Salam is on this show, and several other people are on the show. And once again, I'm gonna drop that link one more time. Now on the show, you guys can see there it has more thumbs down and thumbs up. At least Cherry has that much integrity to show her thumbs down and thumbs up, unlike Faithful to God. Now, I'm glad you pointed this out, Joe Nuff, because they did use Cambridge, and I'm gonna bring up the Cambridge reference. They did use Cambridge, and now they can't backtrack on using Cambridge because I'm gonna use Cambridge too. So now Salam kicked this off by saying we were using the wrong GEDmatch project. We're using it incorrectly, and then they began to say we're manipulating results. So this is how this played out. Now, to deal with that, we all heard G-Con. I'm not going to replay G-Con on Berean or Kevin G trying to explain the DNA. We all know how ignorant they sounded when they were over there trying to explain the DNA. So we're not going to replay G-Con and Kevin G, but I will give you guys the links. Give me a second here. Hold on. Let me give you the link to G-Con and this whole thing right here. Here you go. That's the link to G-Con. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. And we're going to read a little bit about GEDmatch. Oh, not there. Here we go. We're going to start right here. Now, understand the reason we're going to read a little bit about GEDmatch is because it's important to understand what GEDmatch is about and who they're associated with, because some of the other claims being made by the urban apologists recently, simply because they hate the results that we're getting from this company. So now that they can't disprove the results, they start attacking the company. But this is from Business Wire. It says GEDmatch partners with genomics firm Verogen. San Diego Business Wire, GEDmatch, a pioneer in consumer genealogy, today announced that it has joined with forensics genomics firm Verogen Inc. in a move that allows the company to ensure ongoing privacy protections and enhance the customer experience for users of its website. Now, why is this important? Saying this is December 9th, 2019. This is from wired.com, December 9th, 2019. A DNA firm that caters to police just bought a genealogy site. In 2018, GEDmatch played a key role in reopening 40-year-old Golden State Killer case. Now a company that serves law enforcement is gobbling it up. And it goes on through this article to talk about how they're using GEDmatch in law enforcement. So let me share some audio with you because I want you guys to hear this. And I'm not necessarily going in order right now, but yeah, we're gonna touch on everything. Let me share my screen with the audio so you guys can hear exactly what Vocab Malone has to say about this this police forensic site now. Let me see here. That's Salam, and here's Vocab. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
One is it's recently come out that a lot of
check this out. We're breaking on the.
All right, let me get through that.
I got something new.
the Hebrew Israelites have been using something called GEDmatch to assert limba connections, but it's been demonstrated that it's a fraudulent website where you're able to get false positives and essentially manipulate the data. Actually, Garfield Reed recently. He's of Dagger Squad, not a believer or anything like that, but sometimes he gives some interesting facts. He showed something, and Zongo Masi deconstructed the process.
All right, so you see he's name dropping, right? Because he wants to cover himself just in case he gets in trouble. He named Garfield Reed as his source. Now, Vocab Malone claims that GEDmatch is a fraudulent site. It gives false positives, and it can be manipulated. This is Vocab Malone's claim. So for those of you who saw the video of Vocab Malone making that claim that I shared earlier, do me a favor, keep emailing GEDmatch. Now, when you email GEDmatch, you don't have to mention anything to do with urban apologetics, Israelites, any of that. Just point out that he is making the claim. And let me share the link with to that video for you guys, with you guys. Just point out that he is making the claim that their site is fraudulent. And the reason that's important is because law enforcement are using that site to put people behind bars. Now, Vocab is telling the truth. Here we go. Interesting comment right there. Yeah. If Vocab is telling the truth, there's nothing to worry about on his end. And those lawyers of those people that have been locked up because of GEDmatch, they have grounds to file appeals now. If Vocab is telling the truth, but he says he got that from Garfield Reed, who we know is a scam artist. We know Garfield Reed was scamming people out of money, overcharging them for a prepaid debit card as if it was something special, and then taking people's money saying he can fix their credit reports and get student loans off of the credit report. We know that's not true. So he's accused of scamming people in the black community specifically. This is where Vocab is getting his information from. There's no integrity among these people. So if Vocab is telling the truth, there should be no problem with us emailing GEDmatch. Just keep it straight to the point. This guy says you guys are fraudulent. I just want to know if you guys can be trusted or not. Something simple. You don't have to give me any extra details, no background or anything. Some of you are already getting responses. Now, I'm going to show you guys one of the responses that they got, because somebody forwarded me. There was 2 responses that they got from GEDmatch. My response that I received from GEDmatch is they said they had forwarded to the administrative team for further action. Now, I emailed GEDmatch about 2 weeks ago when I first came across this, and I sat on it for a while till I released that video. And then I asked you guys to start emailing GEDmatch because, see, when we emailed Zondervan and they got flooded with emails, they were forced to respond. Same thing with GEDmatch. If there's somebody out here spreading that they are a fraudulent company, that person is threatening cases. Multiple cases, and according to GEDmatch, or according to the article, it was something like 70 cases in 2019, and they've been doing like, I think it's a few cases a week since then. So they are threatening possibly 100 or more cases when Vocab is out here making these statements, and he's only making these statements so that they can move the goalpost again when they can't disprove the DNA. So we're going to back them into a corner. Vocab either needs to produce the receipts, the hard evidence that GEDmatch is a fraudulent website, or he needs to stop saying that. He needs to make it clear that they're not. He needs to produce the receipts or make it clear. And that's the way I feel about that subject as far as Vocab goes. Now, if he can't produce the receipts, we have no reason to take anything he says seriously. Let's keep going. Let me show you guys my screen in these. Shout out to Brandon. I'm not going to give his last name out because we know how the scumbag apologists move when they get people's personal information. All right. So this email was forwarded to me. This is not from me to GEDmatch. This was forwarded to me from Brandon. As you can see here, this was sent December 22nd, 12:55 p.m. It says senders outside of organization. Hello. This is Brandon to GEDmatch. I'm showing this first. I am reaching out to you. Out of concern of a recent video being circulated claiming GEDmatch results to be fraudulent and easy to manipulate. As a consumer, this is concerning for a number of reasons. I was in the process of purchasing your services based on a recommendation of an associate, but after this video, I have major concerns. However, I do question the information in the video solely because the one making those claims has a known agenda toward a particular demographic, which I am part of. The other concern would be the fact that you all work closely with law enforcement. If this has a shred of truth, it would have devastating consequences to our justice system, which is true. I have left 2 links below. One is the video in which the person known as Vocab Malone, John Mark Reiser, is making the claims about your services. I also have included the link to his YouTube channel. So they left the link right here, and it says, "Thanks, Brandon," sent from Yahoo Mail on Android. So now GEDmatch's response. December 22nd, 3:26 p.m. Claims of GEDmatch being fraudulent. It says, "Hello, Brandon. Thank you for your inquiry regarding GEDmatch. Please rest assured that GEDmatch is a legitimate consumer genetic genealogy service." So that puts everything Vocab said to bed. Vocab just got caught in a lie. "We stand by results produced using the tools available on our site. However, new users need to have sufficient knowledge and understanding to interpret the results appropriately and in context of their particular journey to make familial connections. Therefore, we recommend visiting YouTube links available at gedmatch.com for tutorials that will guide users through the process of interpreting their results. GEDmatch and its parent company Verigen do not have any political, religious, or social affiliations, and we do not endorse any organizations or groups. Any claims to the contrary are false." And I've been seeing that in the new emails that people have been sending me. Several people have sent me emails showing that at the bottom of their emails. So now GEDmatch confirmed that they stand by the results, but they say you do need to educate yourself in interpreting those results, which I agree with. Everybody needs to educate themselves on what this means. Asaph, thank you. So now let me read Asaph. It says, "A formal complaint has been lodged by law enforcement in the UK." Now, I know what this is referring to. Shout out to all the law enforcement that has contacted me from the UK and from elsewhere. Shout out to the attorneys that have contacted me. Thank you guys for contacting GEDmatch to have them look into Vocab Malone's statements. I don't want to give out anybody's personal information or anything like that, but there are officers and lawyers and other people who are contacting GEDmatch, urging them to take action against Vocab Malone. So this is Brandon, I think. Yeah, because it says "be" at the one at the bottom. Shout out to you, Brandon. So yeah, they are urging GEDmatch to take action against Vocab Malone because his statements do directly jeopardize those cases in which GEDmatch was used to get convictions. So now we have Vocab caught red-handed in a lie. So let's get back to Salam. We've seen Salam on Cherry's channel, and Salam was busy telling people that we are using the projects wrong and we don't know what we're doing. And I'm gonna show you guys some stuff too outside of Salam. We're gonna look at Cherry Love's video. Let me make sure I get the right video before I put up there. For those of you who want to support, you can do so at patreon.com/Dante Fortson. PayPal link is in the description. Cash App is #BHITB. And of course, you can support via the super chat. So now let me share my screen with sound. Hopefully this will work. I've never tried to share it just from the video alone on my browser without it being on YouTube. So we're going to see if this works. Hopefully it'll work. You guys press 1 in the chat if you can hear it while I play the video. Give me a second to get it up here. All right. So this is Cherry Love on Garfield Reed's show, that same show where she was cussing people out and showing how to act like a Christian. You know how they act on her show. She's different on her show, but she gets around these non-believers and she starts cussing and calling people all kind of names, saying they ain't worth the flesh they printed on. And, you know, that's how they spread the gospel over there. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and press play here, and hopefully you guys can hear this. Let me know if you can't hear it. Press 1 if you guys can hear it when I start playing it. Press 2 if you can't.
Expert. That's not my field. However, you know, coming to this.
Now, to be fair to Cherry Love, since I started right there, she does say that she is not a DNA expert or a genetics expert. She does make that clear. But now listen to the words she says after this.
Channel, I've learned some things, as well as with Brother G-Con and speaking with Brother Ngozi, and shout out to him.
All right, so she names G-Con. Just to point out, she names G-Con. We heard Vocab's lie. He's caught red-handed in a lie, lying on a law enforcement genetics website, So who you gonna believe? You gonna believe the law enforcement? You gonna believe Vocab Malone? They have actual geneticists working at GEDmatch. Just to make this clear. But anyway, here we go.
Love him dearly. He's here in Chicago. Really sweet brother with a good heart. Pretty much all of us have been saying the same thing to them.
Here's an admission. I just want to take my time with this. Here's an admission. She said all of us have been saying the same thing to them. She's referring to Israelites. She's referring to the UA community saying the same thing to Israelites. She's lumping them all together, not me. She said all of us.
That they're improperly using GEDmatch.
All right, you heard it. We're improperly using GEDmatch.
I watched the presentation of the gentleman that you had up here. I think that was about 2 weeks ago. He was up here with you all, and he did a thorough presentation, which helped me a lot. I would say, because I couldn't figure it out, like what population, where did they go wrong, and all of that. But, you know, that was groundbreaking for myself. But I will say I'm still amateur when it comes down to this haplogroup situation. But being that the evidence that has been proven from Sister Salam, Brother G-Con.
Now Cherry's naming names. Vocab threw Garfield Reed under the bus. Now Cherry's naming names. Salam, which I just said a second ago. Now she's naming G-Con. We're going to make sure we point out all the names.
GEDmatch itself, and as well as the gentleman that came up here to do the presentation, along with Brother Ngozi. So the list is long. Everybody is saying the same thing. GEDmatch said for those who are of African-American descent or from the African ancestry, is to use ethohelix.
That's not entirely true. That's a half truth. GEDmatch does not actually say that. And I'm going to show you guys the receipts in a minute. But this is another lie that we're catching Cherry Love in now. We caught Vocab. Now we're catching Cherry Love in a lie. We caught Salam in a lie. And G-Con, we heard him lie. We heard Kevin G lie. All of the majors are in on this lie. They're attempting to deceive everybody. So Vocab is on the Vocab video I showed you. He's not on his own platform. He's actually on another platform, I believe. That video I got was from another platform. Let me give you guys the link one more time to that. Where was it at? Right here. This is on Signs and Wonders. They have 61.2 thousand subscribers. So he's not on his own platform here. He's on another platform. So he's spreading the lie over there. And now Cherry's on the Dagger Squad platform, spreading it to the conscious community.
However, the Hebrew Israelites took it upon themselves to use MDLP. And so
now we took it upon ourselves to use MDLP, meaning she's saying we're not obeying as told. But I'm going to show you guys in a minute why this is a false narrative that they're spreading, that we're using it wrong. We're taking it upon ourselves and everything else.
So I know you guys are familiar with a lot of these here terms, probably more familiar than I am. So if anything else is added to, I'm learning from you. I got my notebook and I got my pen, so I'm not coming up here acting like I'm expert. But however, Brother Garfield, following this situation, these people have emailed GEDmatch and told GEDmatch that, oh, because I disagree with them, that I'm a racist now.
Lie number however many. I don't know. I'm not even keeping track of lies no more. That right there is a lie. Cherry just lied because she said that we emailed GEDmatch and told them she's a racist because she does not agree with us. Now, I know for a fact that's a lie, because if you go watch my DNA Journey Part 2, it's in the Ask Me Anything playlist on the main page of my YouTube, or if you go to videos, you'll see it. My DNA Journey Part 2. She says that we emailed GEDmatch and said she's a racist because we did not agree with her. That's not true. Let me stop sharing the audio because I think it helps. I don't know. It was making the screen clear before. So I'm just going to stop sharing the audio and show you guys the email. The first email right here. This is what I emailed GEDmatch. This is the original email I sent to GEDmatch. I did not mention Cherry Love. I sent the link. This is the link right here that I sent to GEDmatch. It says, "Dear GEDmatch, there is a YouTube channel making the claim that results on your site can be manipulated. I was considering using your site when I received my DNA results because I hadn't received my DNA results yet. But I'd like to know if these claims are true. Here's the link to the YouTube channel and video making the claims. Now, notice I didn't mention Cherry Love's name. I just sent over the link. I didn't mention Urban Apologetics. I didn't mention whether or not she agrees with us on the results. I just pointed out the facts that were being stated in their show. I didn't mention Israelites. I didn't try to muddy the waters. I didn't call them a hate group. I didn't do any of the word I want to use is unscrupulous, but I don't even talk like that in real life. But that's the word that comes to mind. I don't use any of the deceptive, dishonest tactics that the UA does when they email people and try to muddy the waters. So Cherry Love went right on Garfield's show and lied to him about the circumstances. Now, this was the original email. Nobody told Cherry Love that she was a racist or any of this other, or told Jedmatch that Cherry Love was a racist or in a hate group or any of this stuff. Now, the next email is Jedmatch's response to me. This right here is to show you where it came from. Supported Jedmatch. I sent it to both Jedmatch and Verogen, which again is a law enforcement forensics laboratory or company, whatever you want to call it. So this shows you who I sent it to. I sent it to both of them, not just one. And then here's the response I got from Kirk. This is what Kirk said from Jedmatch support. Kirk said, "Hi, Dante. I have forwarded your question on to our administrative staff to look into and reply back to you. I will say," now, I didn't ask them anything else about this. I just asked about the claim that the site could be manipulated. Their response about that was, I have forwarded your question to our administrative staff to look into and reply back to you. I will say that other Jedmatch users have emailed us about this person's videos, plural, not just one, but multiple. And from what little of the videos, plural, I have seen, the individual seems to have some sort of racially motivated agenda to push, as well as advancing theories on race/ethnicities that have been debunked for some time as at best simply untrue and at worst flat out racist. So Jedmatch is calling her a liar. Her, Salam, everybody on that video, they're saying that what they're pushing over there are lies. They've been debunked. Now, I didn't give them a timestamp. I didn't do anything. I sent the full video from beginning. I think it's a 4-hour video, if I'm not mistaken. The entire video of Cherry and Salam. Let me see here. 4 hours and 17 minutes. I sent it to them from the beginning. And their response was that she has it. Let's see. Let me read it back. The whole thing. Wow. I will say that other Jedmatch users have emailed us about this person's videos. And from what little of the videos I have seen, the individual seems to have some sort of racially motivated agenda to push, as well as advancing theories on race/ethnicities that have been debunked for some time as at best simply untrue and at worst flat out racist. Now, Cherry had multiple guests on that show. So Jedmatch is calling them out. Now, once again, let's go look at Verogen, right? Verogen is the company that owns Jedmatch. And we're going to look at Jedmatch in a minute. Right here. Forensic mtDNA data, whole genome kit. We can go through their whole thing right here. Now FBI, NDIS approved. This is who owns Jedmatch. This is who, right here, law enforcement putting end to dead end cases. Forensic science, an advanced way to analyze DNA. Talk to a forensics expert. This is the company that Vocab is saying is fraudulent. We're supposed to believe that this company is fraudulent because the urban apologetics community says so? No. So now we've caught Cherry Love lying. Let me go back so I can share my audio. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. So 508 people in here. Make sure y'all hit that thumbs up. Make sure y'all share this video. So now we've caught Cherry Love in multiple lies. We've caught Salam. We've caught Vocab in a lie. All around the DNA because they don't want the truth to come out. So now they said we're using this wrong. Let me, did I share that link with you guys? Oh, you know what? I pulled that video. Let me see. If you go to Cherry Love Show, if you go to YouTube and you look for Sister Salam was right or Salam was right and Cherry Love, you'll find that video. I don't have that link readily available right here. All right, so let me continue going down the line. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So now they keep saying that we are not using it right now. Remember, G-Con has been named by Cherry Love. We know Kevin G had jumped up on Bereans. We know that Salam was involved. We know that Vocab is involved. We know that let me make sure I don't miss anybody. G-Con, Vocab, Cherry Love, Kevin G, and Salam. Okay, it's 5 people. We have those 5, and we know that Faithful to God doesn't have any integrity. Otherwise, he shows likes and dislikes. He would have been honest about when he supposedly debunked me, all of that stuff. So we know the whole crew has no integrity. So now, in order to understand GEDmatch, which I agree, you have to understand what you're using in order to interpret the results. But I didn't want to leave it open to interpretation, and this is why Salam came and just made the random claim that my emails were fake. And if they're fake, Salam, I want you to show the evidence. Go on Bereans and show the evidence that my emails were fake. I want you to show everything you got, and then I'm going to come on Bereans channel and I'm going to prove you a liar right there in front of everybody. So if you want to get on Bereans and claim my emails are fake, Salam, go ahead and do it. And I guarantee you I'm going to embarrass you in front of everybody. So I emailed GEDmatch. Some of you guys saw this on my DNA journey. For those that saw it on my DNA journey, you're going to see a little bit of it again. I'm going to show those emails from GEDmatch right now. I just showed you the ones about Cherry Love. And remember, I didn't mention anything about race, ethnicity. I didn't mention anything about the beef going on. I didn't mention none of that. I just kept it straight to the point. And they told me that they thought she had some racially motivated agenda. So now this right here shows you who it came from, support@gedmatch.com. I put all of this. This is all in my DNA journey. Before this whole email thing kicked off between Abu and Faithful and Majors and Kelly, I had already put all this information out there, showing all of this long before all this stuff kicked off, because I know how the urban apologetics community moves. They are dishonest people. So they move like dishonest people, and they're not going to take the shenanigans to the law enforcement and start saying, well, they're Israelites. Well, no, we have you on video saying that we're a fraudulent company. We don't care that they have, Israelite connections. Keep emailing GEDmatch because of Vocab, please. All right. So here's the next email. This one comes from Verogen, actually. This was directly from Verogen. This is a different person, Brett Williams. Dear Dante, because remember, let me point out here. He said that he had forwarded my question to the administrative staff to look into. So now this response is from the administrative staff over at Verogen. Let me move this out the way. He said, Dear Dante, hold on, let me see. All right, let me make sure. Okay, let me go back in order. Right here, Kirk. This is where I emailed Kirk. I said, thank you for your response. I'm also curious as to whether or not using MDLP World will result in false results for people of African descent. I checked my mother's DNA through MDLP World and EthioHelix, but MDLP World provided results that were not included in the EthioHelix. So I'm curious as to why that may be, and if all possible African results are included in the EthioHelix. Thanks again, Dante Fortson. Now, both of the emails that I showed you were included in all these responses. I didn't email them separately. I'll put it that way. So everything was like replied to both. So now I get the response from GEDmatch administrative support, Verogen. It says, Dear Dante, could you be more explicit about how people are manipulating the results on GEDmatch? And it says, we are quite sure the results from our tools are valid. Whether people choose to use the correct tool or interpret the results from our tools appropriately is an entirely different matter beyond our control. So that looks just like the what do we got over here? That Brandon sent to me. Thank you for your inquiry regarding GEDmatch. Please rest assured that GEDmatch is a legitimate consumer genetic genealogy service. We stand by results produced using the tools available on our site. However, new users need to have sufficient knowledge and understanding to interpret the results appropriately and in the context of their particular journey to make familial connections. Therefore, we recommend visiting YouTube links available at gedmatch.com for tutorials, blah, blah, blah. All right. So now we have 2 different people, myself and Brandon, who have received emails from GEDmatch saying they stand by their tools. Moderators, be on your job. I don't know what's going on in chat, but yeah, definitely stay on your jobs in there, moderators, in case we get any trolls in there. 523 people in the live. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and share this. So now I'm going to show you guys, because I was seeking to understand how to use GEDmatch. So next, I'm going to go here. This is my response to them asking how people were manipulating the results on GEDmatch, because you heard Vocab say that we could manipulate the results. Salam was saying that we could manipulate the results. They were on Cherry's channel saying the same thing. So they started this narrative of us somehow manipulating these results on a police forensics website. It says, for example, claims were made that by using MDLP World instead of EthioHelix, it somehow gets Limba to show in the results of some African Americans. Does using MDLP World cause some African Americans to wrongly receive Limba as a result, or is this result valid? I was very specific to what I was talking about. And the reason I was very specific to what I was talking about is because I didn't want to leave any room for these scumbags to escape or wiggle out of. So now that's why you see Salam lying, saying my emails were fake, because they don't leave any room for her to go nowhere, because she was the one pushing that we weren't supposed to be using MDLP World. But we're going to keep going. So next, it says, Dear Dante, admixture tools are only as good as the reference populations included in the admixture calculators and how well the reference population is curated. If you use the search for admixture oracles function in GEDmatch and search for Limba reference population, the MDLP admixture calculator is the only one that includes a Limba reference population. So now understand this. If you worked in data, when you have a reference population, that means you can compare data to that set of data. So if you have your set of data and the Limba is in MDLP World, that's the only way you can compare the data, is by looking at MDLP World. But if you want to put it in another calculator, it won't bother to compare it to the Limba, because the Limba aren't part of those calculators. Brother Yacoba, or Minister Yacoba, and Minister Teo tried to explain that to G-Con and Kevin G. Sister E tried to explain that to G-Con and Kevin G. They didn't want to hear it. The urban apologetics community doesn't want to hear it because it doesn't produce the result that they want. So now we have GEDmatch telling us that the information can only be compared if we use that tool to find Limba. Now, you guys heard what Vocab said at the beginning of this, that we are getting false positives and somehow we're manipulating it into giving us Limba. But they have ignored some of the other things that turn up, like Ethiopian Jew. And we'll get to some of the other stuff. It says, moreover, the percentages matter. This is important right here. The ancestry proportions with the largest percentages tend to be the most reliable. Small percentages under 1% are often nothing more than noise, and percentages under about 20% will not necessarily provide a true reflection of your recent ancestry. For example, if you find that a calculator that gives you 8 or 9% of a particular heritage and you have no documented ancestry from this location, you shouldn't start looking for evidence in your family tree. Best regards, Brett, GEDmatch support. So now the percentages are important. Said 1% is just noise. 20% doesn't provide true reflection of your recent ancestry. So we're going to keep going here. I said, thanks again for your response. Let me move this out the way. Part of the problem is that most descendants of the transatlantic slave trade had our family history completely wiped away. That's why we're looking. When I read the breakdown of results, I was told the smallest number next to the result, I was told the smaller the number next to the result, the closer we are to that group. Would an 8 showing next to Limba mean I am more related or less related than Ethiopian Jew showing at 63? And I sent over a copy of these results. Let me see. Oh, wait, that's a screenshot, so I can't click that. Attached is a screenshot of my mom's results. I'm still waiting for mine. So this is November 20th. GEDmatch responds. There are 2 measures shown in the image you sent. The population distance which I'm going to show you guys in a second. Top table will tell you how closely you match to each group. So the smaller the distance number is, the more closely you match, while the percentage result will tell you how much of your DNA match which population. The larger the number, the more DNA you share with the reference population. When I replied below, I only referenced the percentage calculation. All right, so now we see that they say that there's two numbers. And now if you go back and listen to what Kevin G was trying to tell us on Bereans, is that the bottom set weren't actually our populations. They weren't actually our admixture results, which is wrong because that's the results to show the percentages. This first set shows distance, which they keep wrongly referring to as percentage. Every time they talk, they keep referring to these as percents. They are not percents. They are distances. The bottom number shows the percentages. So what did I do? I sent over these after I got my results, which are my percentages and my distances. Now, right here, you will see, hopefully you guys can see this. Let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit so you guys can see it. It's going to get fuzzy. Not sure if you guys can see that, but it says 92.9% Limba right here derived. And then it says Limba all the way down. This is what I sent them. I attached this and sent them as attachments to them. I did not just send, screenshots that are whatever. I hope it makes sense. I attached these to the email and I sent it over to them. But when I took a screenshot, it looks like this because it got cut off because it was too long to get all in one shot. So the other half of this email is going to be on the next page. It says, I recently used 2 of your tools to look deeper into my DNA. My mother's adopted and knows nothing about her immediate biological family, which is true. It says my 23andMe results included people groups that were not included on the EthioHelix or EthioHelix plus French. So I decided to use the MDLP World and DodeCAD projects. Attached are my mixed mode population sharing results. Can these be right, or did I do something wrong by using non-EthioHelix project? So now they said that we were using these wrong. This has been their narrative. So I directly asked GEDmatch if I was using these wrong. I intentionally used MDLP World and EthioHelix and asked the question this way. Am I using these wrong or doing something wrong by using a non-EthioHelix project? Right here, it says your help in interpreting and verifying these results will be greatly appreciated. Thanks in advance. So here's the attachment I sent. This is the distances. This is going to be the distance and the population percentages. So I sent the DodeCAD results over and I sent the MDLP World results over. So now this is the response I got. Right here, you see the bottom of the email. Your help in interpreting and verifying these results will be greatly appreciated. This is what they said. These results could be correct. Notice they did not say you're doing it wrong for using a non-EthioHelix project. They didn't say you can't use MDLP World. This would have been the time to correct me. They instead said these results could be correct. Admixture utilities have a limited number of groups, so you could see conflicting results from different calculators. I would recommend using either DodeCAD. Again, they recommend using either DodeCAD or EthioHelix for the most accurate African ancestry results. Now, the narrative that Salam, G-Con, and Cherry Love have all pushed, we heard them, is that we have to use EthioHelix. Not one of them has mentioned DodeCAD as being used. Not one. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. It says, please note that 23andMe uses a different calculator to estimate your ancestry, so there may be differences between our calculator results and theirs. That's important too, because G-Con, when he was on Berean, kept saying that the results on GEDmatch need to match what's on 23andMe. So that's not true. We get this directly from Verogen that owns GEDmatch. So we know for a fact that G-Con was lying about that too. And to see how I'm showing you lie after lie after lie that they have built up to make this narrative that somehow we are using it wrong and they are using it right. But GEDmatch is blowing all that out of the water, which is why Salam has to say that the emails are fake. But again, I challenge Salam to go on Bereans and prove beyond a shadow of doubt my emails are fake. And then I'm going to come expose her right there on Berean's channel. So now right here, this is what they say here. I said, thank you for your response. Out of curiosity, Why aren't the Limba included in the DOCAD and EthioHelix projects, even though they live in sub-Saharan Africa? How many times have we heard that we are sub-Saharan African? Why are they telling us we're sub-Saharan African? Because they want us to believe we have no connection to Northern Africa or any parts of the Middle East. But the Limba are sub-Saharan African. It says, is there any specific reason why they were excluded from these projects? Now, this is where we find out some interesting information. I cannot say why they were not included in those projects. These calculators are produced by third parties. And we're going to see some more information about these third parties later on. Now, what this means, though, is because they were produced by third parties, if you were only aware of the MDLP, for example, and you found that project online, you could upload or use your data to get results from that MDLP project, even if you have never heard about GEDmatch before. Thank you, Pastor Kelly, in the super chat. Appreciate you. You can use those results. You can use that calculator, that tool, even if you have never ever heard of GEDmatch. So to say we're using it wrong, if somebody hasn't heard of GEDmatch, you have to tell them, no, you can't use this calculator. You have to somehow find another calculator. No, that's not how that works. The MDLP world gives you a bigger pool of data sets to compare to. But the urban apologists are dishonest people, so they won't tell you that's how that works. We're going to keep reading. It says, if you search for Bantu in the admixture Oracle population search utility, the Bantu ethnic group. Oh, wait, let me start over. I didn't finish reading all this. I cannot say why they were not included in these projects or in those projects. These calculators are produced by third parties. Looking at the definition for Limba, it is a Bantu ethnic group. If you search for Bantu in the admixture Oracle population search utility, the Bantu ethnic group is found by both the EthioHelix and DOCAD calculators. So that's part of it. And then we'll come down here. They actually sent me a screenshot of them looking for Bantu in the results. It says perhaps the calculator creators had different ways to designate the same groups. So that's a clue right there, right? So I said, all right, I'm not going to show this in my DNA journey just yet, because I want to go through and test a few things. So when you look up Bantu, it's going to give you DOCAD, it's going to give you Harappa World, it's going to give you EthioHelix. These are the projects. It shows you where Bantu appears. But remember, these are independent projects. Perhaps the calculator creators had different ways to designate the same groups. That's important right there. And I'm about to show you guys why. Is this the last one? Right there. I think this is the last one. It's number 14. Yeah. It says, thank you. I did not know that they were included with Bantu because I didn't know how the calculators were working at the time. And so when I see Bantu show up on some calculators and then I saw Limba show up, I was kind of interested, but I didn't know how it was connected. Now I do. Thank you. Ooh, I don't want to mispronounce your name. I think it's Yasharala. You guys know I'm terrible with other languages, but thank you in the super chat. Appreciate you. I said, thank you. I did not know that they were included with Bantu. With that said, in the attached results, it shows Limba as the primary population at 92.9%. Does this mean that 92.9% of my DNA matches the Limba data set in this specific project? Because remember, they told me it's data set. So now as I'm learning the terminology. This is from December 3rd. It says, I'm just trying to gain clarity on how to read these results across multiple different projects. And so I sent them over my MDLP World attachments, the results from MDLP World. Now, this is what GEDmatch says. Hello, Dante. This result says that if your mixed population was Limba/GOK4, your DNA would be 92.9% Limba. Notice how they are not pushing the narrative that the urban apologists are pushing, that we're wrong for using MDLP World 2. I sent them the MDLP World 2 results. They didn't say, no, this is wrong. You're using the tools wrong. You're using the calculators wrong. These aren't your results. You have to use EthioHelix or DOCAD. No, that is not what they said. He said that if your mixed population was Limba and GOK4, your DNA would be 92.9% Limba. Thank you, Awaken Hebrew, in the super chat. So now this would have been the time to correct me. Before, when they had the chance to correct me, when I asked them specifically, did I do something wrong? They did not correct me. They told me DodeCAD and EthoHelix were the two I should use for the most accurate. So I kept doing some research. I said, all right, let me do some digging, because if these are independent projects, we should be able to get some more information. So I'm gonna give you guys this link right here. Give me a second. So now we done caught the urban apologists up in a big lie, trying to create a false narrative to present it as though we're conspiring to use GEDmatch wrong, which is 100% a lie, something they just made up. So now this is from 2017 from genealogymusings.blogspot.com, because there are a lot of genealogy enthusiasts that are amateurs. So if they're going to make the argument that, well, these are amateurs, so you can't listen to that, you have to get an expert, then we should stop listening to every urban apologist on DNA right now, because they're all amateurs and none of them are experts. They usually come up with hypocritical arguments like that. So now in this GEDmatch admixture guide, if you go down here, it tells you what each project is used for, right? It says step 1, pick a project. There are 7 projects to choose from in the admixture heritage tool found under analyze your data or DNA raw data. But what are they? What do they mean? Which one should you pick? Here's a basic breakdown. So now it gives you a basic breakdown of MDLP. It says this is a global calculator and attempts to break your results down into different parts of the world. It is good as an overview, but if you, for example, you already know you're a European, it's probably unnecessary. It's also heavy on ancient groups. The blog for this project is found here. So now they give you a link directly to the project that you can go to. I just gave you guys the main link to this page, so you'll see it for yourself. Thank you, Tommy, in the super chat. It gives you a breakdown of the Eurogenes project. Remember, all of these are independent projects according to GEDmatch themselves, which means that individual people or parties are working on these projects separately. So I may use one term to describe something, and you may use another term to describe something. And if a person doesn't know that, for example, my project uses Limba and your project just says Bantu in general, which includes Limba. When they come to your project, they're going to see Bantu, but they're coming to my project, they're going to see Limba specifically. So because these are independent projects, we have to understand that there's independent terminology being used, and also the focuses are different. I'm going to show you guys that too. As the name suggests, this is Eurogenes. As the name suggests, this is primarily for people with European backgrounds. While it does have populations outside of Europe, there are usually more subcontinental regions for Europe than any other continent. I highly recommend this as a go-to project for people with sole European ancestry, because the different groups are going to focus on collecting the DNA from specific areas. DodeCAD. This project says it focuses primarily on Eurasians, but most of the calculators are geared more towards Asian and African ancestry than European. So now you understand why DodeCAD told me, or GEDmatch told me to use DodeCAD or EthoHelix for the most accurate results. It says it's not ideal for Europeans, but may be useful for people with mixed ancestry. Remember, it doesn't say wrong. It says not ideal. So if you're a European, you can use the DodeCAD. It may not be ideal, but it doesn't say it's wrong. Harappa World. This calculator is primarily for people with South Asian ancestry. EthoHelix. This is an African-based project, though it does have options for people with mixed backgrounds, but always including African. There is no Native American in this project at all. So now these people that did this project didn't want anything to do with Native Americans. So you won't find any Native American results in there. This stuff is important because it tells you that each group focused on a different thing. The Punt DNAL. This is primarily a project for ancient DNA. There is no website, but questions and comments should be directed to Abdullahi Warsame, and it gives that information. Jadrosia DNA. This project focuses primarily on Eurasian and ancient DNA. There's no website. So now we have this here. You can basically go through and pick a calculator. So I said, okay, that's interesting to know about the projects. That tells me that the urban apologetics community, they are not telling the full truth because they are trying to spin a narrative. So I came over here, and this site is called whoareyoumadeof.com. And again, these are people who talk about DNA. Use your DNA matches to build your family tree. Which grandparent are you most related to? Ancestry DNA versus family tree DNA. They talk about DNA. Now, let me give you the link to whereareyoumadeof.com or who are you made of.com. Right, there's the link to that. Now, let me close down this over here. I'm going to close down some of these tabs. I know I got a bunch of tabs open, but they are necessary. I showed you guys that already, so I'll close that, and I'll close down some of these emails in a second. All right, so now this article right here on whoareyoumadeof.com, let me post that in the chat as well. Here we go. So now you guys got those links in the chat. Now, I want to read this because this is important right here. This is going to tie together everything we've been saying. This is how we know my emails are not fake, like Salam is saying, because everything is tying together. Nobody's contradicting anybody. We're not just sitting up here making stuff up like the urban apologetics community saying we're using stuff wrong or manipulating the site or GEDmatch is fraudulent. I mean, they're saying everything they possibly can to get away from the results. It says, do you know which GEDmatch admixture to use? In this post, you will learn how to choose which admixture calculator will work best for your unique ancestry, as well as how to choose the calculator model. I highly recommend taking advantage of the GEDmatch admixture tool. It is a great way to get completely free second opinions about your ethnicity or ancestry estimate. Plus, it's just lots of fun. Down here, what is GEDmatch admixture? Remember, GEDmatch said it's important to educate yourself, so I want to give y'all all these tools real quick. For those who are reading this article and haven't heard of GEDmatch admixture calculators, you might wonder what this is all about. Do you want to know which GEDmatch admixture to use? It says there are several researchers who have made calculators based on their own collection of DNA data. That's important because it goes back to what GEDmatch said in the email. These are all independent projects. All of these are independent projects, which means they are collecting their own sets of DNA, which means each calculator is different, which means there's no wrong way to use GEDmatch. You can test your DNA in each individual calculator to see what you get. It says we are able to run our DNA on GEDmatch through these calculators to get different ethnicity estimates. Here it comes right here. Not right here. We're going to come down in a second. It says in order to use the calculators, we must first upload our DNA to GEDmatch. We know that. Once we finish with the process of uploading, we can access the GEDmatch admixture calculators on the DNA application tool list. Below, you can see exactly where to click to access the GEDmatch admixture calculators, right? So it's going to be right here, admixture heritage. And then below, it's going to be admixture oracle with population search, which is what GEDmatch told us to go check. And I'm going to show you guys that in a minute. I'm going to do it live on screen. I'm not going to show my kit number, though. It says how to choose a GEDmatch admixture calculator. In order to choose a GEDmatch admixture calculator, there are a few basic definitions we should all understand: oracle, calculator model, projects, chromosome painting. Once you know a little bit more about the background of each project, it will be easy to understand which one will best suit your needs. This is because each project has a slightly different focus, which is exactly what I've been saying. They have a slightly different focus. GEDmatch isn't just a site where they collect all the DNA. No, they point to different calculators made by independent parties. So there's no wrong way to use GEDmatch. It's like Amazon, for example. If you want to order Nikes off of Amazon, you can order directly from Nike because Nike has a store on Amazon. If you want to order from Reebok, you can still go to Amazon and order Reebok. So the same thing, if you want to test all these calculators, instead of going to each one individually, you can just go to GEDmatch and use all the calculators in one place. It's like the Amazon of DNA. It says, let me go down. I read that. It says, what are admixture projects on GEDmatch? The very first choice you will have to make in order to use GEDmatch admixture calculators is deciding between projects. There are currently 5 projects that have calculators on GEDmatch. Below, you can find a list of the projects as well as links to the project web pages and a short description of the project when available. You can also use any of the projects. Let me read that again. Whoareyoumadeof.com. This is all they talk about is DNA and ancestry. You can use any of the projects even if your ancestry is not primarily made up of DNA from that region. It can be helpful to use one that specializes in the region or regions that interest you. So once again, this is why GEDmatch didn't tell me I was using it wrong when I specifically asked them if I was using it wrong. And then we come over to a site that all they talk about is ancestry and DNA. And they say specifically, you can use any of the projects, even if your ancestry is not primarily made up of DNA from that region. It can be helpful. It didn't say it only works or you're only right if you use that. It can be helpful to use one that specializes in the region or regions that interest you. Got 552 people in the chat. Please hit the thumbs up button. Now, when you get down to here, let me give you guys a link to this specific one if I haven't already. So I want to make sure you guys have it. And when you scroll down to where I just was, right here, it'll give you the links. MDLP. This gives you a link directly to this individual project. And I'll just open this one just so you guys can see. And I'll move this out the way. Magnus Ducatus, whatever project, the MDLP. This is the MDLP. Now, this is the link directly to the project. It tells you everything in this project, and you guys can come on this page and check all this out for yourself. It'll give you all the information about the MDLP project, the Eurogenes project. But look what it says next to MDLP. This calculator has a global focus and is a favorite for many people. It doesn't say for only certain specific races or groups or ethnicities. It says for many people. And it has the links to all of them. DodeCAD, Harappa World, EthioHelix. So yeah, you guys can go down here and get these links to the individual projects. That's important because, let me close this down. That's important because it'll help you in understanding what each project is supposed to cover, what groups use or what groups that they collected DNA from and what their project focus was. Now, let me come over to, hold on, let me check my notes and make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, so let me go over and get signed into GEDmatch real quick. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button if you have not already hit that thumbs up button. I agree with you, Yahuwah's daughter of Zion. No receipts, no conversation, right? We don't need to have any conversation with any urban apologists that don't have any receipts from regarding DNA or anything else, because they've shown an affinity to lie. They've shown that they don't know what they're talking about. It's not us that has been using GEDmatch wrong. It's them that have been using GEDmatch wrong this whole time. They've been using other platforms like Berean to spread these lies. They've been going on there and misleading people, trying to build a narrative. They've been misleading Israelites. They've been misleading people in their own communities as well. And so this, at some point, we have to call it what it is. It's a community of scumbags. That's exactly what it is. We've seen how G-Man behaves towards married women when he thinks he's not being watched by his own community. We've seen the accusations against G-Man hitting women. We've seen G-Man tell on himself that he might be involved in a woman's death. We've seen Cherry Love cussing people out and then lying. We've seen Faithful to God's affinity to lie. Kevin G, G-Con get up on there lying and not know what they're talking about, sounding like Oswald Bates and company when they explain DNA. There's nothing we need to listen to from this group of people. So let me get in GEDmatch and make sure I'm signed in, because I don't want to reveal all my personal information on there, because I do have my mom's information on there as well. Matter of fact, I got to log back into GEDmatch. Give me a second here. And I'm going to show you guys some stuff with the Oracle tool, the search tool that they talk about. So they'll tell you on the search tool, you have to type in African, right? This is what the lie that they've been pushing. You have to type in African on the search tool. So hold on, let me share my screen again, and I'm gonna show you guys some stuff you can do with the search tool. All right, let me actually, hold on, let me move this off the screen first. Yeah, I agree with you, Brandon. We can't give them any credibility at all whatsoever. They have no credibility. They have no credibility whatsoever. And I'm going to be honest with you, any platform that is letting them come on their platform and they're not showing and they're not questioning the urban apologetics community about this stuff, you should look skeptically at that platform. You should not trust that platform because that platform has no integrity. If they're not going to call these people out for their actions, that platform has zero integrity. And anybody can take that however they want to take it. Any platform that does not call out the urban apologetics community for their DNA lies over the last few weeks and months has no integrity at all. And it's their whole community. It's not like we caught one person. We've caught Vocab, we've caught Salam, we've caught Cherry Love, G-Con, we've caught G-Man, we've caught Kevin G, Warren G, Kenny G, all of the G's. Caught them all of them lying, all of them pushing this false narrative. All right, so I'm signing the Jet Match. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And I don't care who feel any kind of way about it. We casting a blanket over their whole community. When they thought that Majors was not telling the truth, what did they do? They say, oh, that's going to cast a blanket over the whole Israelite community. Well, if that's the case, this is for sure casting a blanket over the whole urban apologetics community. And if anybody doesn't agree, you should look at them like they're a liar. So let me go to Oracle search with Oracle with population search. I'm going to show you guys something. Now, G-Con, when he got on here on Berean's show and Kevin G and Salam and all the other ones, they will tell you got to type in African, right? So if you type in African, it's going to give you this right here. Now, they say in order to use it right, you have to choose the projects that have African American. Well, you're going to have African American, you have Harappa World, and that's what you're going to get, and you're going to get DodeCat. Now, if you just type in African, as you guys can see right here, I didn't even get EthioHelix. Let me show you guys something though. I'm gonna type it in a bunch of different ways. I'm gonna type it in with a capital, just in case they say, "Oh, well, you didn't capitalize it." African. So now, this is gonna be I believe this is the EthioHelix, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go through. I haven't checked all these projects. No, this is not the EthioHelix. This is Punt DNAL. Now, I'm gonna show you this though. It's going to show you all the projects that have the word African in it, right? This is the important part. All the projects have the word African in it. Now, if I come over here and type in African American, it's not going to give me any projects. With a space, put it together. Not going to give you any projects for African American. But when you type in AA, for example, it's going to give you all these. And they're going to say, well, you got to, now this right here, AA Denver. If you go look up AA Denver, it does deal with African Americans, and you'll see this MDLP project, K23B. You'll find that there. But let's keep going. I'm going to keep going and show you guys some stuff. If you type in Limba, if you just want to specifically search for Limba, it's going to give you the MDLP projects to compare to. This utility is to compare your DNA to these groups, and it shows you where these groups appear. So like they said, let me type in Bantu. Thank you contending for the faith. Appreciate you. Let's type in Bantu. Now Bantu shows up in all of these calculators: EthioHelix, DodeCat, MDLP. But remember, they said we can't use MDLP World. Well, my results come up Bantu, so why can't I use MDLP World 22? I have Bantu in my results. A lot of us have Bantu. Matter of fact, when Kevin G and G-Con, the G twins, got on Berean's show talking about DNA, they kept bringing up Bantu. So now when you type in Bantu specifically, you get MDLP World 22. So if you have Bantu, feel free to type it in and use that. Now, where's Google? Let me look up the term Afro-American. Afro-American. Another term for African American, another term for African American, right? So let's go back over here, and we are going to type in Afro American with no space. We get nothing. So let's type in Afro American as one word. What happens? We get MDLP. We get the MDLP projects, K16, K23B. So now, if we don't add a space in there, we get different projects, because remember, these are independent projects. And when you have independent projects, different people will use different terminology. So let's type in the word Jew and see what we get. We get Jew. So if we want to compare any of our data to any kind of Jew listed in here, see, we have all this Jew right here, all of this, all the different types of Jew DNA, and it tells you which project each one is in. DodeCAD all up here, Eurogenes, MDLP. So now this is useful for finding groups of people that you want to compare your DNA to, or see if you have anything in common with those people. And we'll do one more. We'll just look for Ashkenazi, right? Just Ashkenazi. So now this right here tells you where just Ashkenazi will appear in which projects. They've been using the tool to try to make it seem as if we can only pick certain projects, and that's not true. It's a comparison tool. It's a it's a comparison tool. Thank you, Sam Man Jay. Appreciate you in the super chat. Thank you, Equinox, for liking and sharing. Please keep liking and sharing. So now we see that they are lying about the DNA. Now I'm gonna show you why they are lying about the DNA. Give me a second here to put in my kit number. I'm gonna go to the Admixture Heritage link, and I'm gonna select DodeCAD, and I'm gonna select the DodeCAD World 9. Or actually, I'm gonna select DodeCAD Africa 9. I'm gonna select that, and then I'm gonna show you guys my results from DodeCAD Africa 9, and then I'm gonna click Oracle, and then let me show you where my kit number is not in the screen, and I'm gonna show you guys my DodeCAD results. This is why GCon was avoiding the DodeCAD information. This is why Salam wanted to lie and say that my emails were fake. This is why they want to lie and say that GEDmatch is not a reputable company. So if you guys type in whatever population you want to compare to, thank you, Second Birth Hebrew, appreciate you. Type in Afro-American. You don't have to type in African-American or just African. You could type in whatever population you want to compare to. There is no wrong way to use the calculator. To quote Teo, either you're guilty or you're not. You're just using a larger pool of data to compare yours to. Now I'm about to show you guys my DodeCAD Africa 9 results. Anybody that has 23andMe kit, go watch there's a tutorial on how to download your raw data and put it in the GEDmatch. If you have warrants, I do not suggest it because, again, it is a law enforcement forensic site, which means that law enforcement does have access to that. I don't care. I've clicked the no law enforcement tab on there, but I also saw the link about the hack, and I don't want to make any accusations. All I'm going to say is if I didn't want to have to worry about a warrant, a hack where it unchecks everybody's option to keep the police out of my business would be an easy way to do it if I was in that line of business. And they have been hacked before, and the hack included unchecking the option that protects you from police seeing your DNA. So again, just know what it is before you put your DNA on there. If you think you're wanted for something that involves a DNA crime, I would not put my DNA on there. But if you don't care, if you're like me and you don't have any warrants or crazy stuff going on where they need to track your DNA, it doesn't matter. Now, to each their own, but I'm just warning you guys beforehand. If you have committed a crime and you don't want the police looking at your DNA, do not put your information into GEDmatch. All right, so now let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'm about to show you guys my DodeCAD Africa 9 results, which is why they want to keep telling us that we are using it wrong. So right here, once you get into DodeCAD, remember the email said, let me make sure I go to the right email. I want to let me make sure I got the right one. I want to read. There it is right here. These results could be correct. Admixture utilities have a limited number of groups, so you could see conflicting results from different calculators. I would recommend using either DodeCAD or EthioHelix for the most accurate African ancestry results. All right, so I'm in EthioHelix. This is DodeCAD Africa. Not EthioHelix. I'm sorry. This is DodeCAD Africa 9. So now we get over here. We have West Africa, Southwest Africa, Southwest Asia, Europe, Biaka, Eastern Africa, all of this stuff. Northwest Africa, and we know that Northwest Africa is gonna. Well, we'll look at a map in a minute, and we'll see all of these places on the map. All right, so you get up here, you see all this stuff, but when you get down here, thank you, Susan, in the super chat. You'll see Bamoon, but you see North African Jews. Now, see, here's the first problem that truck driver Bates and his partner are going to run into Cherry Love, all of them who have been lying. They will try to say that we're manipulating it somehow to get Limba, but they left Ethiopian Jew off of that list because somehow we keep coming up with Ethiopian Jew. I'm gonna show you guys my MDLP world results as well. So now you have Oswald Bates and his partner trying to debunk the Limba. Thank you, Sean, in the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, when did our nationality become a hate group? Jesus is a Hebrew Israelite, and those people have concluded his nationality is a hate group. Exactly. Because these people are devious, they're dishonest, and they're untrustworthy. And anybody rolling with them is probably the same. And I'm putting that out there. Anybody rolling with the urban apologists after all their actions are being exposed are probably devious just like them. So North African Jews, this comes up. I want to see G-Con and Kevin G debunk North African Jews. But if Salam and Cherry Love keep up the same energy saying it's ungodly about DNA, they better make sure they call out G-Con and Kevin G while they're trying to debunk Limba and everybody else using DNA and talking about genealogy. I want to see this applied across the board. Otherwise, we're going to see that they're hypocrites. The whole place, the whole community is hypocrites because they'll talk about DNA while they demonize DNA. So you see North African Jew. They haven't explained Ethiopian Jew. Now they haven't explained North African Jew. But then you see Morocco Jew. They got to explain that. See North African, Yemen Jew. You see Morocco, but you have Yemen Jew. So you have Yemen, Morocco, North African, Limba, and Ethiopian. That's just from my DNA. So let me show you guys my MDLP world results. Let me stop sharing the screen real quick. Now I'm going to choose MDLP World Project, and I'm going to show you MDLP World 22 for those who missed my DNA journey. Now remember, you can use any project you want to. We just read that. Any project you want. And I'm going to select Oracle, and I'm going to show my Oracle results. Give me a second here. I'm going to scroll down so it doesn't show my kit number. And let me share my screen. So again, these are my MDLP World 22 results. And next time any of these so-called Christian apologists tell you that they're African or they're African American, tell them you want to see receipts. Tell them you want to see their DNA test. Make them bring receipts to prove that they are African American. Make them show you African American on a map, first of all. And if they tell you African, tell them ask them where on the continent. Where on the continent are you from? If they say West Africa, ask them which country are they from? Because I guarantee you they're going to either give you Ghana, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, or Cameroon. And then you can go to blackhistoryinthebible.com and look at the information about Israelites in those specific countries. Because see, at some point, some of these people got to stop lying and be honest with themselves. So this is my MDLP World 22 results. You will see that here. My distance from Limba is 9.82. If I recall, when we showed G-Cons, his was at a 22 or something like that. Mine is 9.82. And then you have Bantu, 12.79. Didn't a minute ago I look up Bantu? So now I have Bantu in mind. So if I want to find which projects Bantu is in, we're going to go back again because I just want to put the icing on the cake for this. So Limba, Bantu. All right. So now if we come down here, this is what Jed Match was talking about, 92.9% Limba. This is where they were talking about the percentage matters. Hold on, let me make sure where they're talking about the percentage numbers at. All right, here it is right here. It says there are two measures shown in the image you sent. The population distance will tell you how closely you match to each group. So the smaller the distance number is, the more closely you match. So my Limba match is at a 9.82. The smaller the distance, the more closely you match. See, the numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, the numbers don't. The admixture tool has no bias. It's a calculator. They put in how to do the calculations, and that's what it is. It's not going to lie to you. It's not going to be biased. It's not going to be racist. Either you did it or you didn't. You either match or you don't. Quoteo, you're either guilty or you're not. I should memorize which email that was that I went. Let me see here. Here we go. So the population distance, the smaller the distance number is, the more closely you match. It says while the percentage result will tell you how much of your DNA matched which population. The larger the number, the more DNA you share with the reference population. And then I asked them these other questions. And then where's the Limba comment? Right here. We start talking about the Limba. It says, if you search for Bantu admixture in the Oracle, the Bantu ethnic group is found in both EthioHelix and DodeCat calculators. All right, we know that. And then right here, this result says that if your mixed population was Limba / GOK4, your DNA would be 92.9% Limba. And I'm showing you that right now, right here, 92.9% Limba. This is what he was referencing. Now, remember, they did not say that I used the calculator wrong or that I couldn't use MDLP World 22. He broke it down for me, even to the point where he said if it's under 20%, it's not recent. If it's under 1, it's just noise. But here we see 92.9% Limba derived. And GCon showed his as well. And I think he had like 80 something. I'm not sure. But we know GCon had a majority Limba in this area. So the urban apologists have been caught red-handed lying to people. We see that right here, Jew, Ethiopian Jew. Let me see here. Ethiopian Jew. Twice on here. Now, this is a lot further than Limba, but we have Bantu there. Hold on, let me stop sharing and let me go back to the main page because I'm going to type in Bantu again and see which calculators it tells me, because Bantu is number 2, and they will agree that we are Bantu in most cases. Very few of them will argue about us being Bantu. So let me go back to the Oracle with population search, and I'm going to share my screen one more time. Just know that if you're using GEDmatch and you're getting these results are 100% valid. Let me type in Bantu one more time. If you type in Bantu, it tells you that you can use MDLP World 22, MDLP World K or MDLP K23B, K16 Modern, Eurogenes, DodeCat, EthioHelix, Harappa World, Punt DNAL. You can use all of these projects if you are looking to compare yourself to Bantu. If you were not allowed to use MDLP World, or if you were using it wrong, Bantu wouldn't even be included in there. If we're not supposed to use it, who else is supposed to be using it to compare themselves to Bantu? Why is Bantu in there? These are common sense questions. The fact is, every single urban apologist just got caught red-handed telling a lie. Not one single urban apologist has any credibility left. We have met them on all fronts. We have met them with scripture. Hold on, let me get a couple things pulled up, and I'm gonna start wrapping this up because it's pretty much an open and shut case. It's not like we're waiting on a response from them. We don't have to. We have multiple enthusiast sites. We have professionals. We have emails directly from GEDmatch. We know how to use the tool properly. They have been intentionally telling people how to use the tool wrong to mislead people away from the accurate results. But let me pull up a few things real quick, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Because as of right now, I really don't have anything left to say to the urban apologists. There's nothing more to say to them. Yeah, they just been lying, and that's what it comes down to. They just been lying this whole time, trying to spread a false narrative, and they got caught red-handed, and there's nothing more to it. They can say whatever they want. They can make whatever accusations they want. I don't care if they prove the pews or not. I would love to see Pastor Kelly and Pastor Majors prove their position, but even if they don't, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change a single thing as far as the outcome of who we are. I accidentally signed out of GEDmatch. Let me go back. But yeah, it doesn't change a single thing in who we are. And again, I hope Pastor Majors and Pastor Kelly do prove their point, because I saw their video and I think they did a really good job with the video explaining some things. And I think that Abu and Faithful to God need to just be honest and say, look, this is what it is, or this is what it's not. Because lots of people are saying they found that professor. And for some reason, even though multiple people are saying they can find the professor and have found the professor, we have one set of people claiming that they can't find the professor. I want Breen to bring forth that private investigator. I mean, if the private investigator says, that person don't exist on the planet, bring forth the private investigator. Let's hear the private investigator say this out of their own mouth. I mean, if Majors is expected to bring forth Dr. Katz, I want to hear from that investigator. I want to hear that investigator say out of his own mouth on screen live that he cannot find Dr. Katz, so that if Dr. Katz is found, then we'll know that that investigator is lying. So we're going to start requiring evidence from them just like they require from us. If we got to go above and beyond, they're going to go above and beyond. But from this day forward, I don't care to go above and beyond with any of these clowns, to be honest with you. I don't even care because they're all irrelevant. None of them get any views without us. They have to ride our coattails. So that means we control the conversation in all regards. There's nothing they can do about that. All they can do is talk about what we want them to talk about. Let me see here. Let me see. Want to make sure I get the verses correct. But all right, almost got one. Almost done. I actually just forgot to pull up these couple verses. All right. So some of y'all saw the study that I did the other day. So I'm not going to drop all of these Bible verses. I'm going to read a few things because I think it's important that we understand that we have met all the requirements for proof according to the Bible. And that's all we have to do. And they want us to keep doing more. They keep changing the goalposts. Now it's well, you gotta prove the pews. You gotta prove your DNA. You gotta prove this random piece of evidence over here. You gotta prove that these people were these people. Now we gotta prove other people groups. And now it's always something new. First, Abu was like, well, there's no discernible letters. And then it comes out, well, now there's no discernible word. Well, you found a discernible word. Now there has to be discernible phrases. But man, this is dishonesty. There's no academic integrity coming from the urban apologists. So anyway, we have 3 witnesses. We don't need any more witnesses than the 3 the Bible requires. Thank you, Shakar, in the super chat. Appreciate you. So now let's sum this up because we don't have to deal with the urban apologetics community anymore. I may throw the occasional shot at them just because, and it's Christmas ain't over yet. So they shouldn't get comfortable. They shouldn't get real comfortable. Like they may not get another stocking stuffer. So now let's talk about our 3 witnesses. Deuteronomy 17:6 says, at the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness, he shall not be put to death. But in Deuteronomy, right here it says, Deuteronomy 19:15, 1 witness shall not rise up against a man for an iniquity or for any sin, and any sin that he sinneth at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. So they had this law in there for establishing innocence or guilt. You couldn't be found guilty by 1 person. There had to be 2 or 3 witnesses. But understand there were laws that if witnesses came forward and they lied about anything and people found out, then whatever it was they were seeking to do to the person when they conspired to lie, that would happen to them. So now we have proof that they have conspired to lie about the DNA. We know that they have not been truthful about sharing the history, which is why I touched on faithful to God to begin with, to show that he has no integrity and no honesty about the situation, because I was the one that asked people to find stuff on there that may not be correct. And he didn't say that. He said it as if he was debunking me. He purposely misrepresented the information. So go ahead and hit those thumbs up. So now let's talk about our first witness, the scripture. We knew this from scripture, and I showed you guys where this is repeated in the book of Jeremiah. And he said unto Abram, Genesis 15:13-14, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. We've said it over and over and over again. There just so happens to be a coincidental 400-year captivity. That 400-year captivity coincidentally started by boat, just like Deuteronomy 28:68 says, and I'm using the word coincidentally as an emphasis on how they look at it, because they look at it as if, well, none of these things can be tied together. It started by coming to the house of bondage and ships. We see on the back of the US dollar, we see the pyramid associating them with Egypt. We see the Washington Monument obelisk associated with Egypt. We also see the eagle that was referenced in the Bible, the nation swifter than the eagle, the people whose language that we wouldn't understand. We saw that referenced in the history. It talked about a land that eateth up the inhabitants in Canaan. And then we see references to the Israelites engaging in cannibalism during their captivity. And then we read historical documents where the Israelites, or the people taken from Africa, thought that the Europeans were cannibals. We read information about them cooking people on board the ships and forcing these people who were kidnapped and enslaved to eat their own people. We learned about cannibalism taking place on plantations. Pastor Kelly broke it down about the cannibalism going on during lynchings, basically cooking the person alive and taking souvenirs, body parts to eat. This is what these people were doing. And this is the spirit that the urban apologists have been operating in. So we have the scriptures that back why we believe we're Israel. So then they moved the goalpost to history. So now we move to history. And this is important because Abu and Faithful to God, they have that reference to the Cambridge Scholar. So either Cambridge is reputable or Cambridge is not. And this is the document from Cambridge, Black Jews, the Religious Challenge. I've sent you guys the link on JSTOR. You guys can go there and read this if you want to. I downloaded it myself. You can download the PDF. Now I'm going to read this from Cambridge. Let me enlarge it for some of you guys out there that asked me to enlarge it. Hopefully it's not blurry. So yeah, I'm going to read this part. This is page 235. The study. Now, if you go back up some, you're going to see some references to West Africa and Nigeria for those who are from West Africa and Nigeria. Now, I want to read this one paragraph above it because it touches on the pews. Now, the pews was a big thing. All this stuff is still going on. People are still making a big deal about the pews. And I want to reiterate this because Faithful to God and Abu have been dishonest in not disclosing all the information. They have not disclosed the following information that I did pass over to Pastor Kelly when I was doing a live one day and mentioned it. It says in southern Nigeria, that's in West Africa. That's where many people are from. They'll say, well, I'm Nigerian. And you start tracing your DNA and it comes back to Nigeria. In southern Nigeria, the natives call Black Jews. So there are Black Jews in Nigeria. So anybody says we have no reason to think that we're Israelites, and then they say we're from Nigeria, well, there are Black Jews in Nigeria. So we do have a right to look. In southern Nigeria, the natives call Black Jews the strange people in the Imo Yokaim. They are called the Beni Ephraim, the sons of Ephraim. They claim that their ancestors came from Morocco. I just showed you guys Morocco Jew in the DNA. And this is supported by Godby, who noted that their language is a mixture of Maghrebian Arab, ancient Hebrew, and local patois. Maybe that's why they can't identify the writing on the pews. It says that their language is a mixture of Maghrebian Arab and Hebrew. So maybe they wrote in a hybrid language as well, which is why some people think it's Hebrew and some people think it's Arabic. Maybe it's a hybrid of the two. Just my opinion. I'm no expert on this. I haven't done the research on the pews, nowhere near in depth as Pastor Kelly and Pastor Majors and probably Abu or Faithful. But I don't trust Abu or Faithful's research. Brandon Carter, thank you in the super chat. It says their language is a mixture of Maghrebian Arab, ancient Hebrew, and local patois. For example, Abu, meaning father, became Yaba. For mother is close to the Hebrew word. These Imo Yokaim Jews live in the Ondo district and have a copy of the Torah. This is important. So the Jews in Nigeria have a copy of the Torah. Now, this is where the history comes in on our side concerning the 400 years, because the 400 years comes up again in history. It says the study of customs. I'm still reading the same page 235 right here, last paragraph. The study of customs and rites and the analysis of the semantics of these African tribes have led many of their observers to propose some hypotheses, and even to draw some conclusions. Dr. Alan H. Godbey reached the following conclusion. Now, he's a doctor. I don't know if he's a doctor, or he has a doctorate in something else, but it says Dr. Alan H. Godbey. This is not a student. This is not a novice. He is a doctor who reaches the following conclusions. These factors have a very specific significance if we consider the presence of Judaism among the American Negroes. But Abu and Faithful aren't reading this stuff to you. They quoting other Cambridge stuff that they think agrees with them, but they don't want to quote this Cambridge stuff right here. Hundreds of thousands of slaves were transported to America from West Africa during the trade, which started some 400 years ago. There's that 400 years coming up. Is that a coincidence that people keep referring to this 400 years in modern times, and it's seen as a significant prophecy in the Bible? They want to act like none of this stuff is connected. But now we see, just like we said, using the Bible and saying, hey, we're the people of the book that was talked about in this 400-year captivity that came over here on ships. They're saying, no, that can't be you. Well, now you have a university book who's referencing a doctor who says that Judaism is present among the American Negroes that were transported as slaves here for 400 years. What traces of Judaism still remained among the Negroes of West Africa at that period? To the extent that they were persecuted, they were more likely than other Negroes to be seized during wars and sold as slaves. So Negroes that practiced Judaism in West Africa were more likely to be captured and sold as slaves and brought over here on ships in a captivity that has lasted 400 years. And yet the urban apologetics community is acting like we're making this stuff up and we don't have no grounds. This is why I'm done with the urban apologetics community altogether after today. I'm done with anybody who's allowing them to use their platforms and they're not calling them out on these lies and making them bring out this information. I'm looking at everybody as suspects, the whole community as suspect, because the whole community is in on this since we discovered so many people lying right now. To the extent that they were persecuted, they were more likely than other Negroes to be seized during wars and sold as slaves. Listen to this part for those that haven't heard it. It is virtually certain that many part Jewish Negroes were among those sent as slaves to America. What again? Virtually certain. Not possible. Not you guys don't have any grounds to believe it. It is virtually certain. This is from a university that many part Jewish Negroes were among those sent as slaves to America. How many of them would have been able to conserve some Jewish customs is another question. This conclusion put forward by Godbey, which argues, again, the doctor argues for the existence of a more or less recurrent Judaism in West Africa in the same places as those from which the Negroes were taken, is shared by others such as Maurice Delafosse, but most significantly, it has been adopted by a class of educated Black Americans as a key argument to demonstrate that the Jewish religion is the traditional religion of Africans brought in slavery to the American continent. We're not making this up. It didn't just start in the 60s. It didn't just start in the 1800s. No, a university is saying it's the traditional religion brought over here to the American continent via slavery, which happened in ships where we were brought to the house of bondage, enslaved and oppressed for 400 years. That's witness number 2. So first is the Bible, the most important witness. And then we have witness number 2. Give me a second here. Let me make sure that I sign back into my JED match real quick. And I'm going to show you the final witness. So we have 2 solid witnesses, the Bible, and we have Cambridge. And we know Cambridge is a solid witness because the scumbag party over there, the UA community, are using Cambridge in their argument. And the final and third witness, as I showed you guys earlier, some of you already knew this. We have the results from DodeCAD. We have the results from MDLP World 2. We see Limba. We see Ethiopian Jew. And mine personally, I see North African Jew. I see Morocco Jew. And I see Yemenite Jew. But I'm going to take this a step further. let me show you. There's one more calculator that I want to use. Let me make sure I grab the right one. All right, give me a second here. This one takes a second. I'm not sure why. There it goes. This is the slowest calculator of all of them. I want to show you guys something. See, I want them to debunk all of that Jew, but I'm going to show you guys something in mind. Where is it at? Right here. There it is. All right, let me share my screen with you guys. If you come over to the Harappa World test and look at mine. Hold on, there we go. You will see that I also have Ashkenazi right here, 9.7% if it was comparing on this one, and Ashkenazi here spelled a different way. I'm not sure what the difference is. I have not looked into that. So you see Ashkenazi on mine as well. I do not have Sephardic and some of the other ones, but I have Ashkenazi, I have Yemen, I have Morocco, I have North African Jew, I have Ethiopian Jew, and I have Limba. I don't know how much more Jew, and I use that term loosely based on how the projects use them. I don't know how much more Jew some of us have to have before they stop lying. All they have to do is stop lying and tell the truth. Every single one of them has been caught in a lie today. Vocab has been caught in a lie today. Faithful to God has been caught in a lie today. Cherry Love, Kevin G, G-Con, and whoever else. All of them, their whole community has just been exposed as liars trying to push a narrative. Please keep sending JedMatch those emails. Let them know that Vocab Malone is out here saying that they have a fraudulent company and he's potentially endangering or jeopardizing cases completely. So that is what it is. After today, I'm done going back and forth with them. I'm going to be teaching whatever it is I'm led to teach, or whatever it is I take an interest in at that time. I'm not arguing back and forth with them. I'm not bringing them no more evidence. I'm not debating these clowns. I'm not doing none of that stuff. What I actually might do is just start dropping videos of their own words against them, like I've been doing with Faithful and Cherry and Vocab, just letting their own actions and words expose them. So it is what it is. And that's all I have to say on the subject. We are Israel. We have our 3 witnesses. There's no more to be said unless they're going to debunk the Bible, history, and the DNA and explain why the Bible pointed us to the history. If we were lying about the Bible, the history would not have coincided with scripture. If we were lying about the history, the DNA would not have coincided with the history that we've been talking about. All of it's connected. And the urban apologetics community is done as far as I'm concerned, unless they can start presenting evidence and providing the links to their sources. If they don't have a link to a source, I don't want to hear a word they're talking about. They have no credibility. They have no integrity. They have no honesty, and anybody rolling with them is a clown. And I'm going to keep it at that. Anybody rolling with them is a clown, and they are probably in on it. I want to hear people called out just like they want to call us out. I want to hear everybody called out on their side for this big lie that they've been pushing for weeks and months that has just been exposed. So anyway, that's my Christmas present to Israel. That's my Christmas present to the rest of the urban apologists. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, you're getting the present anyway. You can't take it back. So with that said, till next time, I'm out.